Hi everyone, it's Dan from the Riah Hair Studios and you're watching TLS. The reason we call it Riah, it actually comes from a hidden language called Polari. So basically Polari was a language used in the queer community when it was illegal to be open about your sexuality. So Polari was used in the Navy, was used in West End, and basically if you were a hairdresser, you were known as a Riah. So therefore, I've taken the hair part, Riah, and called it the Riah Hair Studio. So it's a little nod to queer history, educates the children a little bit. You know, I kind of think it's always important to celebrate our veterans when it comes to gay culture, definitely.
Absolutely. I just assumed it was a funny hair backwards, but there's clearly a lot more deeper meaning to it then.
There's a lot more meaning to it, yeah. I do like the history behind it. But yeah, so I opened this place in lockdown. Crazy.
Right.
But I did. Yeah, the first lockdown, I just got out of the first lockdown and I decided that I needed to take the plunge. I was a little bit stagnant where I was. I felt like I needed to just do it. So yeah, I literally opened this place a month after lockdown restrictions lifted. As long as we have been open, it's been amazing. We've had really good response.
That's great. And why is it important for there to be a non-binary and LGBTQ plus friendly studio?
Do you know what? It's more so the fact that it shocks me that there isn't, that there isn't these spaces. It's not that my salon is exclusive, because it's not. It welcomes allies in all across the board, but it's more about just underlining what we stand for. Because I find that salons, for some reason, considering how much people rely on hairdressers and how you can consider and you can always guarantee you'll have a big influx of clients and that you can make the biggest influence if you are just vocal about a good thing to be vocal about. If I have clients that come to me and they may not be a part of the LGBTQ+, but I can educate them and help create allies so we spread a little bit of knowledge about this. So in hand, you have places where people can come and feel comfortable, whether you're a part of that community or not. I have a lot of friends who are non-binary, I have a lot of friends who are trans, and they are my friends before all of that, and just to be able to give them a service where they can sit comfortably in a salon meant so much to them. And that in itself, just creating that kind of environment was really important for me. I felt like if I was gonna do something like this, I need to make sure I had a strong ethos to make sure that it really met something that was missing, because I feel like our community we get told we're understood a lot, but not shown that we're understood. So by creating a space like this where I can have people from all different walks of life all welcome in at the same time, it gives me real pride in what I'm doing, and actually hopefully can change the community I'm in a little bit and bring a little bit of safety to a certain type of community that tends to be forgotten about.
Oh, definitely. And even something as simple as a haircut, I hadn't even considered would be difficult for someone who isn't straight and white like me. What are some of the prejudices facing non-binary and LGBTQ plus members of society?
Do you know what? It's all about triggering language, and it's all about just not being educated and people not thinking. There's so many small changes that salons can make that can really adapt and welcome in certain types of people and allow them to know that it's okay just to come in and you're purely here for hair. You're not going to have any prejudice, like you come in and you're straight off the bat, you look at a price list, and on that price list it may say women's haircut 40 quid, men's haircut 30. Why is that the case? Men aren't going to have short hair, men may have long hair. Women, exactly the same. And people, non-binary folks, they don't need to have that. And this is the thing, is by simply adding that gender role in that doesn't need to be there, you're already talking about triggering language, and you can get rid of that so easily by saying clipper work and scissor work. This is actually what we're doing. The art of barbering with clippers, that's for all genders. And then you've got hairdressing, that's scissor work, and that's again all genders. So that in itself is the first kind of go-to when it comes to how salons are run. And then beyond that, hair education, in hairdressing college, we're educated how to masculinize a haircut and feminize a haircut. But why are we using them gender roles? We don't need to say that softening a haircut is feminizing, because I know a lot of people who softer haircuts would suit them. And I know for a fact that I have a lot of clients who have more buzz cuts, as you would call them, would say that that's more of a masculine haircut. Why is that masculine? That's a social construct that we've turned around and said that's that. So by getting rid of them kind of simple techniques as well, and instead of using masculizing and feminizing, you begin to use harsh, softer, you're actually talking about the technique and the haircut shape. You're not talking about a binary that we're trying to break down. We're trying to get beyond all that. And that's for me, that's what I hope to continue to inspire other salons to do, because there's such easy changes. Simply as asking a client their pronoun when they walk in the door. Always open your own conversation with your own pronoun. Things like that just help.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it is maybe just as simple as a question, or as a statement as that, or a choice of language, as you say, isn't the end of the world really. So it can be much easier for people.
Completely. And it frustrates me when people are like, oh, they want us to do this now. And it's like, yeah, I do. I'm sorry. To just add in, like when you introduce yourself, say, oh, hi, my name's Dan and my pronouns are he, him. That took me nothing. And also that just allowed a whole load of people to go, okay, breath of fresh air. That question is not going to get brought up, and that's not going to highlight my day to day. Actually, I'm going to have a haircut and I'm going to feel amazing after it. And that's the part I'm focusing on, not the built-in discrimination of society, It's about listening to your client and seeing them as a person. We're seeing people as people. We're understanding that I'm not aiming for world domination. I'm just aiming to have a really lovely community. And that's what we should aim for, because actually, especially in this pandemic, the world is actually really small. And the moment you start seeing clients as numbers, it takes the fun out of it. And it loses the human aspect of what we're doing. And I'm trying to bring that back to hairdressing. I'm trying to bring that 60s vibe of I'd spend my one day in the week in the salon, chatting to my friends, having a nice time. Like that used to be a thing. It used to be where community was made. So yeah, that's what I feel is really important for us, is just to help boost community, support local businesses, and create a safe haven for people of all walks of life.
So we've seen your hair cutting skills are fantastic, but you've got some wig making skills. Some of your work's been featured in RuPaul's Drag Race UK. Can you tell us about which designs were yours? Can you spot them out? Do you know exactly which ones are yours?
Yeah. So most of Joe Black's wigs are mine. I am known for all his finger waves. So that's really, really cool. I did Bimini Bamboo Lashes braided number. That was pretty fantastic. And they wore that incredible. I remember I was randomly sat in the bath while watching RuPaul's Drag Race, as I do. And that came on, and I tell you not, my heart sank. I was having heart palpitations. I was like, my wig is walking down RuPaul's Drag Race stage. Oh my God, this is mind blowing. So that was really exciting. And then the opening credits, I did one for Ahura. That was really fun. But to be honest, the whole experience of RuPaul's Drag Race, it feels like such a blur, because obviously this happened before the pandemic. So it's only now that I'm having these conversations about wigs that I designed over a year ago. So yeah, that extra shock level has been even more prevalent, because it's been such a long time that I've looked at it. Oh my God, I forgot I did that. But yeah. So yeah, it's been amazing. It's been absolutely amazing. The Bimini Bamboo Lash braided number is probably my favorite to date. It wasn't until I was doing some work with L'Oreal, we had to make some wigs there. And funny enough, after I did that, I was working in Barcelona and I came home to do Joe Black's hair. And we were chatting and they were like, I think I want to start wearing more wigs. And I was like, oh, funny enough, I've just come back from Barcelona making some pretty cool wigs. So they were like, okay, I'll be back in a minute. Finished their hair, they left, they come back and they literally threw a wig at me. And they're like, do whatever you can. Do whatever you can, I just want to see what you can do. So with that, I was like, give me a week. And fun enough, that is when my first ever finger wave was born. And that's kind of now my trademark. So from that point onwards, Joe was like, okay, I want more. And we literally did about a year's worth of prep before RuPaul's Drag Race. So we would make probably about once a month, twice a month, we'd make a new wig, we'd try something new. Joe would throw me an old wig. I'm like, oh yeah, I could do this, because I'm used to doing these crazy updos on actual models' hair. Or in some instances, we would use wigs for catwalk shows. So I was really used to doing this, but just not for drag. It was always that more fashion element thing. And then the more that I did wigs for Joe would then go to their shows, and I would have more queens and performers ask me. And yeah, before I knew it, I built up quite a repertoire of different clients, burlesque dancers, drag queen performers, that really found my wigs a little bit with that fashiony edge and that artistic kind of edge. I feel like they just come across a little bit different, you know, a little bit more odd. But that's me, I like that.
Oh, there's a bit more identity there. Perhaps.
Yeah, but there's something about them, and that's what I kind of like. I really enjoy it. I think that's the difference.
When the wig making process starts, say Joe Black comes to you, do they say, okay, I've got an idea, I want it to look like this? Or do you maybe start making a wig and then say, oh, we could do this? Or what's the sort of the creative process like when designing the wigs?
Yeah, so for me, I'm quite fluid when it comes to all like the designs and stuff. It depends. That people come to me and they say, I've got an idea. And then what I'll tend to do is once they've come to me with this idea, I'll say to them, okay, this is really cool, I love it. Normally you get inspiration photos of other people's work, and we have to be conscious, obviously, of any kind of influences too close to the mark. So that's where I tend to say, okay, let's take a seat. I'm gonna put my touch onto it, because I wanna always make sure that every wig has a piece of me to it. I don't want to feel like I'm just creating things that I've been told to create, because that kind of feels like exhaustion of what I enjoy. So I kind of stay away from pageant drag. So I stay away from big blow dries and things like that, because I do that in my day to day. I like to go for stuff a bit more sculptural, a bit more mad, you know. So for me, I kind of feel like I always try and push the edge a little bit, and then with some other stuff. Most recently, I've started just designing off my own back and just seeing what people think. It depends. Like people, especially working with drag queens, it's not just any kind of performance artist. The wig is the cherry on top of the cake, but it's their idea, you know? It's only a tiny percentage. The wig is a tiny, tiny percentage of the amount of work that goes into this art form, you know, people from head to toe.
RuPaul's Drag Race Season 3. Are you going to be involved? We need some Dan Chapman wigs on there.
Consider it done. Done, tick off, filmed, all off the gate. Yeah, I say no more. So yeah, the whole pandemic has really messed up the rota for the year of how it would normally, or how I'm guessing it'd work. I'm not going to pretend I'm a professional in the whole RuPaul lot. Still fresh days, but because of the pandemic, we're lucky enough that this year we're getting 2 seasons in 1 year. So yeah, so I think that's the case. Don't hold me to it, but I can confirm that I've already had wigs on there. It's already been done, it's already filmed, wrapped up, bow on top. Exciting.
Wow.
Yeah, very exciting. It was intense, I tell you. They give us 3 weeks. They give us 3 weeks to, more so, it's more intense obviously for the queens, but they get 3 weeks to design everything. And then they have to help get their team involved and go, quick guys, we need to get this all going. So yeah, luckily we're in lockdown, so I didn't have to balance clients in between. But first Drag Race, I had a full clientele at the same time.
Yeah, sounds super intense. Dan, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us today. I really, I loved your insight into the hairdressing scene and wig making scene. Bye.
Take care, see you later.